She bandaged a dying outlaw in secret. 3 days later, his gang surrounded her homestead. Before we dive in, please subscribe and comment where you are watching from. I found him by the creek at sunset, bleeding into the water. The first thing I noticed was the red. Not the sunset kind of red, the wrong kind. The kind that means someone's dying. I come down to fill my water buckets like I did every evening. My homestead was small, just a cabin, a barn, and 20 acres of stubborn Wyoming soil that fought me every day. But it was mine. All mine. And out here, 3 miles from the nearest neighbor, I'd learned to handle things myself. But I wasn't prepared for this. He was face down in the shallow part of the creek, one arm stretched out like he'd been trying to crawl somewhere. His shirt was soaked through, water and blood, I couldn't tell which was which. His hat floated a few feet downstream. My first instinct was to run. Get back to the cabin, bar the door, pretend I'd never seen him. Because out here in 1878, a man lying in a creek with a bullet hole in him usually meant trouble was close behind. But then he moved. Just barely. His fingers twitched in the water. He was alive. I stood there for a full minute, my buckets forgotten, just staring. The smart thing would be to leave him. Ride into town, tell the sheriff, let someone else deal with it. But town was 8 miles away. The sheriff was corrupt and lazy. And this man would be dead in an hour, maybe less. I'd never been accused of being smart. I dropped the buckets and waded into the creek. The water was cold, spring melt from the mountains, and it soaked through my boots immediately. I grabbed him by the shoulders and pulled. He was heavy. Solid muscle under that wet shirt. I'm not a small woman, 5'7" and strong from years of farm work, but dragging a full-grown man out of a creek is hard labor. I got him onto the bank and rolled him over. And that's when I got my first look at his face, young. Maybe 26, 27. Dark hair plastered to his forehead. A few days' worth of stubble on his jaw. And even unconscious, even half dead, he was the kind of handsome that made your breath catch. Not that it mattered. Handsome men die just as dead as ugly ones. The bullet wound was in his left shoulder, just below the collarbone. Entry wound in front, no exit wound in back, which meant the bullet was still in there. Blood was still seeping out, but slower now. He'd lost a lot already. I pressed my hand against the wound, applying pressure like my father had taught me years ago. The man didn't react. His breathing was shallow, his skin pale under his tan. "Don't you die on me," I muttered. "Not in my creek. I don't need that kind of trouble." His eyes fluttered open. Just for a second. They were hazel, green and brown mixed together, like creek water and sunlight. He looked right at me. His lips moved, but no sound came out. Then his eyes closed again. I made a decision I'd probably regret. I ran back to the cabin, hitched my horse to the small cart I used for hauling, and brought it down to the creek. Loading him into the cart took everything I had. By the time I got him into my barn, the sun was fully down and I was sweating despite the cold. The barn was small, 2 stalls, one for my horse May and one empty. I put him in the empty stall on a pile of hay I covered with an old blanket. Then I ran to the cabin for supplies. My medical knowledge was limited to what my father had taught me before he died 3 years ago. Bullet wounds, snake bites, broken bones, the basics of frontier survival. I had whiskey for disinfecting, clean cloth for bandages, and a sewing needle I'd sterilized in fire more times than I wanted to remember. What I didn't have was anyone to help me. I lit 2 lanterns and got to work. First, I cut away his shirt. His chest was broad, muscled, with a few old scars. A man who'd lived a hard life. The bullet wound was ugly, swollen, and still bleeding. I poured whiskey over it. He didn't wake up. That was probably good. What I had to do next would hurt like hell. I'd removed bullets before. Twice from my father after hunting accidents. Once from a ranch hand who'd gotten shot breaking up a bar fight. It never got easier. I used my smallest knife, sterilized in the lantern flame. Dug into the wound as gently as I could while still being effective. Blood welled up. My hands were shaking. Finally, I felt the bullet. Worked it out with the knife tip in my fingers. It dropped into my palm, a misshapen piece of lead, still warm. I set it aside, poured more whiskey into the wound, and started stitching. 12 stitches total, small and neat. My father would have been proud. Then I bandaged him up, covered him with 2 more blankets, and sat back against the stall wall. My hands were covered in his blood. My dress was ruined. And I had an unconscious stranger bleeding in my barn with no idea who he was or who'd shot him. "This is the stupidest thing you've ever done, Sarah," I told myself. The man's breathing had evened out. Color was coming back to his face. He'd live, probably. I should have felt good about that. Instead, I felt terrified. Because out here, men didn't get shot for no reason. And whoever shot him might come looking. I stayed in the barn until midnight, watching him breathe, jumping at every sound. Finally, exhaustion won. I went back to the cabin, barred the door, and collapsed into bed with my father's rifle beside me. I didn't sleep much. The next morning, I woke to the sound of my chickens going crazy. I grabbed the rifle and ran outside in my nightdress, half convinced someone had come looking for the man in my barn. But it was just a fox. I scared it off with a warning shot and stood there in the dawn cold, heart pounding, realizing how on edge I was. The man in the barn could be anyone. An outlaw. A murderer. Someone dangerous. Or he could be innocent. Someone who'd been in the wrong place at the wrong time. I wouldn't know until he woke up. I fed the chickens, milked my cow, and made myself eat breakfast even though my stomach was in knots. Then I took a plate of food and a canteen of water to the barn. He was awake. I froze in the doorway of the stall. He was sitting up against the wall, one hand pressed to his bandaged shoulder, watching me with those hazel eyes. "Morning," he said. His voice was rough, like gravel. I raised the rifle. Not pointing it at him exactly, but making it clear I had it. "Don't move." He didn't. Just kept watching me with an expression I couldn't read. Not threatening. Not scared either. Just calm. "You patched me up," he said. "I did. Why?" "Good question." "Because you were dying in my creek and I'm not the kind of person who leaves people to die." Something that might have been respect flickered across his face. "That's rare out here. So is getting shot and surviving." I took a step closer, rifle still ready. "Who are you?" He hesitated. I saw him weighing his options, deciding how much truth to tell me. "Name's Cole," he said finally. "Cole Brennan." The name meant nothing to me. But I didn't exactly keep up with wanted posters. "Who shot you, Cole Brennan?" "Some men who wanted me dead." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I've got right now." He shifted, winced. "How long was I out?" "Found you yesterday at sunset." "It's morning now." "So about 12 hours. He looked down at his shoulder, at my neat stitching job. "You do good work." "My father taught me." "He's dead now." "Sorry to hear that." An awkward silence stretched between us. I didn't lower the rifle. "I'm not going to hurt you," Cole said quietly. "If that's what you're worried about." "How do I know that?" "You don't." He met my eyes. "But if I wanted to hurt you, I could have done it while you were digging a bullet out of my shoulder." I was awake for some of that, by the way. Played dead because I figured you'd stop if you knew I could feel it. My stomach dropped. "You were awake?" "Drifted in and out. Hurt like hell, but I've had worse." He paused. "You didn't have to save me. Could have let me bleed out or turn me into whoever's looking for me. But you didn't. So I figure I owe you. I don't want anything from you." "Maybe not. But you're getting it anyway." He tried to stand, made it halfway before his legs gave out. I lunged forward on instinct, caught him before he hit the ground. He was heavy and warm and his skin was still too pale. I helped him sit back down, and only then realized I'd dropped the rifle. Cole noticed too. He glanced at it, then back at me. Didn't make a move for it. "You need to rest," I said, stepping back and picking up the rifle again. My hands were shaking a little. "You lost a lot of blood. Can't rest here. Men who shot me might come looking." My blood went cold. "What?" "They think they killed me. But if they find out I'm alive, they'll finish the job. And anyone helping me becomes a target too. Then you need to leave." The words came out harsher than I meant. "Soon as you can ride, you need to go." Something like hurt flashed across his face, but he nodded. "Fair enough. Give me a day or two to get my strength back, and I'll be gone." I should have said no. Should have told him to leave now, danger or not. But looking at him, pale, wounded, barely able to stand, I couldn't do it. 2 days, I said. "Then you're gone. And if anyone comes looking, I'll tell them I never saw you. Deal." I left the plate of food and water, then got out of there before I could change my mind. Back in the cabin, I paced. This was bad. Really bad. I just agreed to hide a man who admitted people were hunting him. Men who would kill anyone who got in their way. But what else could I do? Turn him out to die. Turn him into the sheriff, who'd probably just shoot him himself. I'd made my choice when I pulled him out of that creek. Now I had to live with it. The day passed slowly. I did my chores, kept looking toward the barn, jumped at every sound. Around noon, I brought Cole more water and some bread. He was asleep, propped against the wall, his face finally peaceful. I set the food down quietly and left. That evening, I brought him dinner. Stew I'd made that morning, still warm. He was awake, looking stronger already. You don't have to feed me. You need to eat if you're going to heal. I handed him the bowl. 2 days, remember? Can't have you dying on me before then. A small smile tugged at his mouth. The first one I'd seen. It changed his whole face, made him look younger. Less dangerous. What's your name? He asked. I hesitated. Names make connection. Connection make caring. And I couldn't afford to care about a stranger who'd be gone in 2 days. But it felt rude not to answer. Sarah. Sarah Bennett. Sarah, he said it like he was testing it out. Pretty name. It's just a name. Nothing's ever just anything. He took a spoonful of stew, and his eyes closed briefly. This is really good. Don't sound so surprised, sorry. It's just been a while since anyone cooked for me. Since anyone did anything for me, really, without wanting something in return. There was a story there. Pain in his voice that had nothing to do with the bullet wound. Well, I don't want anything, I said. Except for you to heal up and leave so I can go back to my quiet life. Quiet life. He looked around the barn. You live out here alone. That's none of your business. I'm just making conversation. We don't need to make conversation. You're leaving in 2 days. He nodded, but something in his expression said he didn't quite believe that timeline. Like he knew something I didn't. That night, I barely slept again. Every creak of the cabin made me think someone was coming. Every howl of a coyote made me reach for the rifle. But morning came without incident. Day 2, Cole was moving around the stall. Still weak, but getting stronger. I'd brought him breakfast and found him trying to stand on his own. You should be resting, I said. Been resting all night. Need to move or my muscles will seize up. He took a few careful steps, winced. Besides, I've been shot before. I know how this goes. You've been shot before? I shouldn't have asked. Didn't want to know. 3 times. This makes 4. Occupational hazard. What occupation gets you shot 4 times? He looked at me for a long moment. The kind you don't ask questions about. Because he was an outlaw. Or a gunfighter. Or something equally dangerous. 2 days, I reminded him. Tomorrow morning, you ride out. Where's my horse? I blinked. What? My horse. I was riding when I got shot. She would have run off, but she's trained to come back. If she's still alive, she'll be looking for me. I hadn't even thought about a horse. I haven't seen one. She's black. White star on her forehead. Answers to smoke. He moved to the barn door, looked out at my property. She's smart. She'll find me. He said it with such certainty. Like the horse was a person. Like she'd track him down no matter what. If your horse shows up, someone might notice, I pointed out. A strange horse means questions. Smoke knows to stay hidden. She'll wait in the trees until I call her. This was insane. A trained horse? Men hunting him. What had I gotten myself into? That afternoon, I was hanging laundry when I heard it, hoofbeats. Multiple horses. My heart stopped. I looked toward the barn, but Cole was inside, out of sight. Then I looked toward the road. 3 riders were coming up the path to my cabin. I didn't recognize them. But I recognized the type. Hard men. Guns on their hips. The kind who didn't visit homesteads for friendly reasons. I dried my hands on my apron and walked toward them, trying to look calm. Trying not to look at the barn. They stopped in front of my cabin. The leader was a big man with a scar across his cheek. He looked me over in a way that made my skin crawl. Afternoon, ma'am, he said. His voice was polite, but his eyes weren't. Sorry to bother you. We're looking for someone. I'm alone out here, I said. Haven't seen anyone. That's so. He looked past me, toward the barn. Mind if we look around? Yes, I minded. But saying no would make them suspicious. Go ahead, I said. But I've got work to do, so make it quick. The 3 men dismounted. 2 headed for the barn. The leader stayed with me, watching. My heart was pounding so hard I thought he could hear it. Cole was in that barn, wounded. Armed, maybe, but in no condition to fight 3 men. This was it. This was where everything went wrong. The 2 men disappeared into the barn. I held my breath. Seconds passed like hours. Then they came back out. Nothing, boss. Just a horse and some hay. The leader frowned. You sure? Checked both stalls, empty. He looked at me again, suspicious. You really haven't seen anyone? Man on horseback, maybe wounded. No one. I met his eyes, forced myself not to look away. Like I said, I'm alone out here. He studied me for another long moment. Then he nodded. All right. Sorry to bother you, ma'am. They mounted up and rode off. I watched them go, waiting until they were completely out of sight before I ran to the barn. Cole was in May's stall, buried under a pile of hay with only his face showing. He'd heard them coming and hidden himself. They're gone, I said. He climbed out, hay sticking to his hair and clothes. For now. What do you mean, for now? I mean they'll be back. They're not convinced. They'll watch the road, maybe circle back tonight to see if I show up. My hands were shaking. You need to leave, now can't. Not in daylight. They'll see me. He met my eyes. I'll leave tonight. After dark. I promise. And if they come back before then I'll deal with it. I won't let them hurt you, Sarah. The way he said my name made something warm bloom in my chest. Which was stupid. He was a stranger. A dangerous stranger who'd brought violence to my doorstep. But he'd also just hidden in a pile of hay to keep me safe. Tonight, I said firmly. As soon as it's dark. Tonight, he agreed.
I spent the rest of the afternoon pretending everything was normal. Fed the chickens. Weeded the garden. Mended a tear in my spare dress. All while keeping one eye on the road and one ear listening for hoofbeats. The sun seemed to take forever to set. Cole stayed in the barn. I brought him food at dinner, and he was sitting up, looking stronger but also tense. Like a caged animal waiting to run. Still planning to leave tonight? I asked. Soon as it's full dark. He looked out the barn door at the fading light. Another hour, maybe? And go where? He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Better you don't know, right? Because knowing made me complicit. Made me a target. Your horse showed up, I said. His head snapped toward me. Smoke's here? Found her in the trees behind the barn about an hour ago. Black mare, white star, just like you said. She came right up to me like she knew I was helping you. Something like relief washed over his face. She's a good judge of character. Or she's just a horse who wants food. Maybe both. He stood, slower than this morning but steadier. I should go see her. Make sure she's all right. We walked out together. The sun was almost down, painting the sky orange and purple. Smoke was tied to a tree near the back of the barn, calmly eating the hay I'd given her. She was beautiful. Sleek and strong, with intelligent eyes that tracked Cole the moment she saw him. He went to her, ran his hand down her neck. She nuzzled his shoulder, the uninjured one, like she'd been worried about him. Hey, girl, he murmured. Told you I'd be all right. I stood back, watching. There was something about the way he was with the horse, gentle, tender. Like she mattered to him more than most people probably did. She's been with me 5 years, Cole said without looking at me. Saved my life more times than I can count. Smarter than half the men I've ridden with. Where'd you get her? Won her in a card game. Previous owner was a drunk who didn't deserve her. He checked her over, running his hands down her legs, checking her hooves. She's good. Ready to ride.
Which meant he was leaving. Any minute now. I should have been relieved. Instead, I felt something uncomfortably close to disappointment. I put some supplies in a saddlebag, I said. Food, water, bandages. Enough for a few days. He turned to look at me. You didn't have to do that. I know. Sarah, he stopped. Started again. Thank you. For everything. For saving my life. For hiding me. For not asking too many questions. You're welcome. We stood there in the gathering dark, and I realized I didn't want him to go. Which was stupid and dangerous and made no sense at all. He was a stranger. An outlaw. Someone who brought violence with him. But he was also the first person I'd talked to in months. The first man who'd looked at me like I was a person, not just a woman alone who could be taken advantage of. You should go, I said. Before it gets any darker, yeah. But he didn't move. Just kept looking at me with those hazel eyes. If things were different. They're not. I know. He moved closer. Not threatening, just closer. But if they were, I'd stay. Help you with this place. Fix that fence that's falling down. Repair the roof on your barn. My throat was tight. That's not your job. Could be. If you'd let it, Cole. I know. I'm leaving, tonight. But I want you to know, he reached out, gently tucked a strand of my hair behind my ear. His fingers were warm. You saved my life. I don't forget things like that. Then he stepped back, started saddling smoke. I watched him work, my heart doing complicated things in my chest. This was better. Him leaving. Going back to my quiet, safe, lonely life. He swung up into the saddle, wincing slightly as his shoulder pulled. Then he looked down at me. Stay safe, Sarah Bennett. You too, Cole Brennan. He smiled. Then he turned smoke toward the trees and rode off into the darkness. I stood there long after he was gone, listening to the hoofbeats fade. Then I walked back to the cabin, barred the door, and told myself this was the end of it. I was wrong. 3 days later, they came. I was in the garden when I heard them. Multiple horses. Coming fast. My blood went cold. I dropped my basket and ran for the cabin, but I didn't make it. 6 men on horseback surrounded my property. Not the same 3 from before. These were different, harder, meaner. And leading them was a man I recognized from town. Silas Cord. A cattle baron who owned half the territory and wanted the other half. Miss Bennett, he said, tipping his hat like this was a social call. We need to have a conversation. I stood in my yard, wishing I had my rifle. About what? About the man you've been hiding. Cole Brennan. My heart stopped. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't play dumb. We know he was here. My men tracked blood from the creek to your barn. Found hay with his blood on it. You patched him up and sent him on his way. I lifted my chin. Even if that were true, it's not a crime to help an injured man. It is when that man is an outlaw. When he's wanted for murder and robbery across 3 territories murder. The word hit me like a fist. I didn't know, I said. I just found him wounded. I didn't ask questions. Well, now you're going to answer some. Silas dismounted, walked toward me. Where did he go? I don't know. Wrong answer. He nodded to 2 of his men. They dismounted, started walking toward my cabin. You can't just. I can do whatever I want, Miss Bennett. This is my territory. My rules. He looked around at my property. Nice little place you got here. Be a shame if something happened to it. It was a threat. Clear as day. I really don't know where he went, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He left 3 nights ago. Didn't say where he was going. But you did help him. No point denying it now, yes. I helped him. Because he was dying. Noble, stupid, but noble. Silas pulled out a cigarette, lit it. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to pack up your things and leave this property. Today? What? No. This land is going up for auction next month. Unpaid taxes. I'm planning to buy it. There are no unpaid taxes. I paid them last year. Did you? He smiled. Because according to the county records, you're 6 months behind. Funny how paperwork gets lost sometimes. My blood boiled. You can't do this. I just did. Now you can leave peacefully, or my men can help you leave. Your choice. I looked at the 6 armed men. Looked at my cabin, my barn, my garden. Everything I'd worked for. Everything my father had left me. I need time, I said. To pack. To figure out where to go. You have until sundown. After that, this property belongs to me. They left me standing there, surrounded by the wreckage of my life. I walked into the cabin in a daze. This couldn't be happening. I'd done nothing wrong. Just helped someone in need. And now I was losing everything. I started packing mechanically, clothes, food. My father's rifle. A few items that had belonged to my mother. Everything else would have to stay. I was loading my cart when I heard them again. More horses. I turned, expecting Silas and his men back early to throw me out. But it wasn't them. It was 7 riders, coming fast down the road. They spread out as they approached, surrounding my property in a loose circle. And leading them was Cole. He sat on smoke, looking healthier than when he'd left. His shoulder was still bandaged under his shirt, but he sat tall in the saddle, eyes sharp. The 6 men with him looked just as dangerous as he did. All of them armed. All of them watching my property like they were planning a siege. Cole's eyes found me. Sarah. What are you doing here? My voice came out shaky. Heard Silas Cord was causing you trouble. He dismounted, walked toward me. That true? How did you? I've been watching. Made sure those men who shot me didn't come back for you. Saw Cord's men ride in, heard what he said. His jaw was tight. He threatened you because of me. Cole, you need to leave. If they find you here, let them come. He looked at the 6 men with him. These are my brothers. Well, some of them. The rest are men who ride with me. When I told them what Cord did, they wanted to help. Your brothers? I looked at the men. They did have similar features. Same dark hair, same sharp eyes. Brennan Gang, one of them said, grinning. At your service, ma'am. The Brennan Gang. I'd heard of them. Outlaws who robbed from cattle barons and land grabbers. Who protected homesteaders from being run off their property. You're outlaws, I breathed. Depends who you ask, Cole said. But yeah, we don't follow rules made by men like Silas Cord. You can't help me. You'll just make it worse. It's already worse. Cord's trying to steal your land. Using fake tax records to do it. He moved closer. But we can fix that. If you let us how? He smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. By making Silas Cord wish he'd never heard your name. Before I could respond, one of Cole's brothers called out. Riders coming. Looks like Cord's men. I turned. Sure enough, dust was rising on the road. They were coming back. Cole looked at his men. Positions. They scattered, taking cover around my property. Behind the barn, behind the cabin, in the trees. Within seconds, they disappeared. Only Cole stayed visible, standing next to me in the yard. What are you doing? I asked. Making a statement. He checked his gun. Stay behind me. Silas Cord rode up with his 6 men. They stopped when they saw Cole. Well, well, Silas said. Cole Brennan. Heard you were dead. Disappointed? Not yet. Silas looked at me. Miss Bennett, I thought I told you to leave. She's not going anywhere, Cole said. This doesn't concern you, Brennan. You made it concern me when you threatened her for helping me. She harbored a criminal. That has consequences. So does trying to steal a woman's land. Cole's voice was cold. Those tax records you're using? Fake. We both know it. Prove it. Don't have to. You're going to withdraw your claim. Right now. Silas laughed. Or what? You'll shoot me. In front of witnesses. Won't have to. Cole whistled. Sharp and loud. His men appeared. All 6 of them, stepping out of cover with rifles pointed at Cord's men. Silas's smile disappeared. This is a mistake. The only mistake was you thinking you could intimidate someone under my protection. Cole stepped forward. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to ride back to town. You're going to tell the county clerk those tax records were filed in error. And you're going to leave Miss Bennett alone. And if I don't, then we have a problem. And trust me, Cord, you don't want the Brennan Gang as a problem. Tense and crackling. Then Silas smiled. You can't protect her forever, Brennan. Don't have to. Just have to make it clear that anyone who messes with her messes with me. Cole's hand rested on his gun. We done here? Silas looked at his men, at the 7 guns pointed at them, and made his choice. For now. He turned his horse and rode off, his men following. Cole didn't lower his gun until they were out of sight. Then he turned to me. You okay? I couldn't speak. Could barely breathe. This man, this outlaw I'd saved 3 days ago, had just come back with his entire gang to protect me. Why? I finally managed. Why did you come back? Told you. I don't forget when someone saves my life. He holstered his gun. And I don't let good people suffer because of me. One of his brothers, a younger man with the same hazel eyes, approached. She can't stay here alone, Cole. Cord's going to come back. I know. Cole looked at me. You should come with us. What? With the gang. We've got a place in the mountains, safe. Cord can't touch you there. I can't just abandon my home. You won't have to. Give it a few weeks, let things cool down. Then we'll make sure Cord understands you're not to be touched, ever. I looked at my cabin. My father's cabin. Everything I'd worked for. Then I looked at Cole. At the men who'd come to help me because he'd asked them to. If I go with you, I said slowly, what happens then? Then you stay as long as you need. No one will bother you. No one will ask you for anything you're not willing to give. He paused. And when you're ready to come back, we'll make sure it's safe. It was crazy. Going into the mountains with a gang of outlaws. But staying here meant fighting Silas Cord alone. And I'd already seen how that ended. Okay, I said. I'll go. The ride into the mountains took 2 days. Cole's gang moved like shadows through the wilderness. They knew every trail, every hiding spot, every place where water could be found. They moved in silence mostly, communicating with hand signals and whistles. I rode May, my belongings packed in saddlebags. Cole stayed close, though he didn't talk much. His brothers, I learned there were 4 of them in the gang, plus 2 other men, took turns scouting ahead and watching our back. The youngest brother, the one with hazel eyes like Cole, rode beside me on the second day. "I'm James," he said. "Cole's youngest brother." "Well, second youngest?" "There's 7 of us total, but 2 stayed back at camp and one's down in Texas." 7 brothers. I couldn't imagine it. I'd been an only child. Big family. Our parents had a ranch in Colorado before it got taken by a land company. That's what started all this. He gestured at the gang. Cole was the oldest. He tried to fight it legally, but legal doesn't work when the other side owns the judges. So we became outlaws instead. And you rob people? We rob the people who steal from homesteaders and small ranchers. The Silas Cords of the world. Men who use money and violence to take what isn't theirs. James smiled. Robin Hood, but with better horses. Robin Hood died at the end of that story. Yeah, well, we're working on a better ending. That night we made camp in a valley between 2 peaks. There was a stream, a circle of stones for a fire, and enough tree cover to hide the smoke. The men set up with practice efficiency. Horses were tended. Food was cooked. Watch rotations were established. I felt useless and out of place. Cole found me sitting by the stream, staring at the water. He lowered himself down beside me, moving carefully because of his shoulder. "How are you holding up?" he asked. "I don't know. 3 days ago I had a home and a life. Now I'm in the mountains with a gang of outlaws running from a cattle baron." I looked at him. How am I supposed to be holding up? Fair point. He picked up a stone, tossed it into the water. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry. You didn't ask for any of this." "No. I didn't." I paused. "But I'd do it again. Save you, I mean. Even knowing how it turned out." He looked at me, surprised. "Why?" "Because it was the right thing to do. You were dying. I couldn't just walk away. Most people would have. Then most people are cowards." He smiled at that. A real smile that reached his eyes. "You're something else, Sarah Bennett." "So I've been told." We sat in comfortable silence for a while. The stream burbled. Night birds called. Somewhere in the distance, a wolf howled. "What happens now?" I asked. "I can't stay in the mountains forever. We'll send word to some people we know in the territorial government. The honest ones, not the ones Cord owns. Get proof that your tax records were tampered with. Then we'll make sure Cord understands that touching you or your property means war with the Brennan gang." "And you think that'll work?" "Cord's greedy, not stupid. He knows we can make his life very difficult. Destroy his shipments, free his cattle, burn his holding pens. He'll back off if the cost is too high." It made a brutal kind of sense. "And then I go home. And then you go home." He hesitated. "If you want to." "What else would I want?" He didn't answer directly. Just looked at me with those hazel eyes that seemed to see right through me. "You ever think about leaving that homestead? Going somewhere else? Somewhere you wouldn't have to work yourself to death just to survive? Sometimes? But that land is all I have left of my father. I can't just abandon it." "Wouldn't be abandoning. Would be choosing something different." "Like what? Life on the run with an outlaw gang? Maybe. Or something else. There are towns that need doctors, teachers, people with skills. You're smart, Sarah. You could do anything." "I'm a farmer. That's all I know." "That's not all you are." He stood, offered me his hand. "Come on. Let's get you some food before James eats everything." I took his hand, let him pull me up, and tried not to think about how right it felt. The gang's main camp was another day's ride north. It was hidden in a box canyon with only one entrance, easy to defend, impossible to attack without being seen. There were 2 permanent structures. A large cabin that served as communal space and storage, and a smaller one for supplies. The rest of the gang lived in tents or bedrolls under the stars. There were more people than I expected. Not just Cole's brothers, but other men. A few women too. Wives and sisters of gang members. Even a couple of children. "We're not just outlaws," Cole explained as we rode in. "We're a community. People who've been pushed out by men like Cord. We protect each other." One of the women, a tough-looking blonde in her 30s, approached. "So this is the woman who saved your sorry hide." "Sarah, this is Kate. She's married to my brother Thomas. Keeps us all in mind." Kate looked me over with sharp eyes. You're braver than you look. Not many people would patch up an outlaw and hide him from bounty hunters. I didn't know he was an outlaw at the time. Would it have mattered? I thought about that. No. Probably not. Kate smiled. I like her. She can stay in my tent until we figure out something more permanent. Over the next week, I fell into the rhythm of camp life. I helped with cooking, mending, tending to the horses. The women taught me how to shoot better, how to move quietly through the forest, how to spot trouble before it spotted me. And every night, Cole would find me. We'd sit by the fire or walk by the stream, and we'd talk. About everything and nothing. His childhood on the ranch. My life on the homestead. Dreams we'd both given up on. I wanted to be a lawyer, he admitted one night. Before everything went wrong. Thought I could change things through the system. Make it fair for people like us. What changed your mind? Watched my father get cheated out of his land by lawyers who twisted the law to benefit rich men. Realized the system isn't broken, it's working exactly as designed. Just not for people like us. So you became an outlaw. So I became someone who fights back. He looked at me. Does that scare you? A little. But mostly it makes me sad. That the world made you choose this. I don't regret it. Met good people this way. Helped families keep their land. Made sure some bad men got what they deserved. He paused. And I met you. My heart did that complicated thing again, Cole. I know. You're going back to your homestead. This is temporary. He looked away. But I need you to know something. These past 2 weeks, having you here, talking to you every night, it's been the best part of my life in years. Maybe ever. I couldn't breathe. You barely know me. I know you're brave. And kind. And you saved my life when you had every reason not to. I know you work harder than anyone I've ever met. I know you love your father's land because it's all you have left of him. He turned back to me. And I know that when you leave, I'm going to spend the rest of my life wishing you'd stayed, Cole. He stood abruptly. Sorry. Shouldn't have said that. You made your choice. I respect it. He walked away before I could respond. I sat there by the dying fire, my mind spinning. Because the truth was, I'd been feeling the same thing. Every night talking to him, I felt more alive than I had in years. More understood. More seen. But I couldn't stay. Could I?
This was an outlaw camp. These people lived outside the law, always running, always fighting. That wasn't the life I wanted. Was it? 2 days later, a writer came with news. The territorial government had investigated my claim. The tax records had been proven fraudulent. Silas Court had been ordered to cease all attempts to claim my property. I was free to go home. The camp celebrated that night. Kate hugged me, told me I was always welcome back. James gave me a new rifle as a parting gift. The other gang members wished me well. Cole didn't say anything. Just watched from across the fire with unreadable eyes. The next morning, I packed my things. May was saddled and ready. 2 of Cole's brothers would escort me back to the homestead, make sure I arrived safely. I was saying goodbye to Kate when Cole appeared. Can I talk to you? He asked. Alone? We walked to the edge of camp, where the trees opened up to a view of the valley below. It was beautiful, peaceful. I want you to stay, Cole said without preamble. I know I shouldn't ask. I know you want your old life back. But I'm asking anyway. My throat was tight, Cole. Let me finish. He turned to face me. I'm not asking you to be an outlaw. I'm not asking you to give up everything. I'm just asking you to think about it. About whether that homestead is really what you want, or just what you think you should want because it's all you've ever known. It's my home. It's a piece of land. Home is where you feel like you belong. He moved closer. Do you feel like you belong there? Alone, working yourself to death, barely surviving? I don't know what I feel, I admitted. I'm confused. 2 weeks ago my life made sense. Now nothing does. Then don't decide today. Go back to your homestead. Live there for a while. See how it feels. And if you wake up one morning and realize you want something different, he reached into his pocket, pulled out a small carved wooden token. Leave this on your fence post. I'll see it. And I'll know you're ready for me to come get you. I took the token. It was shaped like a bird in flight. Simple but beautiful. And if I never put it out? Pain flashed across his face. Then I'll know you chose your life over me. And I'll respect that. Even if it kills me. I wanted to say something. Tell him I felt the same way. That these 2 weeks had changed everything. But the words wouldn't come. So I just nodded, tucked the token into my pocket, and mounted May. Cole's brothers fell in beside me. And we rode out of camp without looking back. Because if I looked back, I'd never leave.
I lasted 2 months. 2 months of going back to my old life. Feeding the chickens. Tending the garden. Mending fences and patching the roof and doing all the things I'd done before. But it felt different now. The silence that used to feel peaceful now felt empty. The work that used to feel purposeful now felt endless. And every night, sitting alone in my cabin, I'd take out that wooden token and turn it over in my hands. The homestead was secure. Silas Cord had backed off completely. Word around town was that he'd received a very clear message from the Brennan gang about what would happen if he came near me again. My life was safe, stable. Exactly what I'd fought for. So why did it feel like I was dying inside? Kate visited me once, about 6 weeks after I'd returned. She rode up alone, tied her horse, and knocked on my door like this was a normal social call. Thought I'd check on you, she said over coffee. Make sure you're settling back in all right. I'm fine, liar. She took a sip. You've got that same look Cole's had for the past month and a half. Like someone who's alive but not really living. My heart jumped at his name. How is he? Miserable. Pretending he's not, but everyone can see it. He checks your fence line every week. Looking for that token. She set down her cup. It's not there. I know. So you've made your choice. You're staying. This is my home, Kate. Is it? Or is it just the place you're too scared to leave? The words hit like a slap. That's not fair. Isn't it? She leaned forward. Sarah, I had a life before I joined the gang. A respectable life in a town with a house and neighbors and all the things society says women should want. And you know what? I was drowning. Every day felt the same. I was so lonely I could scream, but I was surrounded by people. What changed? I met Thomas. Cole's brother. He was different from any man I'd ever known. He saw me. Really saw me. And when he asked me to leave that life and take a chance on something unknown, she smiled. I was terrified. But I said yes. And I've never regretted it for a single day. That's different. You fell in love. And you didn't? Kate raised an eyebrow. Because from where I'm sitting, you fell just as hard as Cole did. You're just too stubborn to admit it. I didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Because she was right. I had fallen in love with Cole Brennan. Somewhere between bandaging his wounds and talking by the fire and watching him risk everything to protect me. I loved him. And that terrified me more than anything. What if it doesn't work out? I whispered. What if I give up everything and then it falls apart? What if you don't take the chance and spend the rest of your life wondering what if? Kate stood. Life is short, Sarah. And uncertain. The only guarantee is that if you don't choose him, you'll definitely lose him. At least if you take the risk, there's a chance for something beautiful. She left after that. Rode off into the afternoon, leaving me alone with my thoughts. That night, I couldn't sleep. I paced my cabin, looked at my father's things, thought about the life he'd built here. He'd loved this land. Loved what it represented, freedom, independence. Then I walked outside, took that wooden token, and placed it carefully on my fence post where it would catch the morning light. I saw him from a distance, riding smoke down the road. He was alone. When he spotted the token, he stopped. Just sat there on his horse. My bags were packed and sitting on the porch. I'd said goodbye to May. She'd go to my neighbor who'd always admired her. Everything was ready. Cole dismounted slowly. Walked toward me like he was afraid I'd disappear if he moved too fast. Sarah. My name sounded like a prayer. I put out the token. I see that. He stopped a few feet away. Are you sure? Because once you come with me, there's no going back to this life. Not really. I know. You'll be wanted by association. Anyone looking for the gang will be looking for you too. It's dangerous, unpredictable. Nothing like the stable life you have here. I know that too. Then why? His voice cracked slightly. Why are you choosing this? I closed the distance between us. Looked up into those hazel eyes I'd been dreaming about for 2 months. Because stable isn't the same as happy. Because I've spent 2 months in this cabin feeling lonelier than I've ever felt in my life. Because every night I go to bed thinking about you, and every morning I wake up wishing you were there. I took a shaky breath. And because I love you, Cole Brennan. And I'd rather have an uncertain life with you than a safe life without you. His eyes went wide. Then he pulled me into his arms, careful of his shoulder, and kissed me. It was my first kiss. Probably should have been awkward or clumsy. But it wasn't. It was perfect. Like coming home after a long journey. Like finding something I didn't know I'd been searching for my entire life. When we finally pulled apart, he was smiling. That real smile that made him look younger, happier. "I love you too," he said. "Have since the moment you pulled me out of that creek and told me not to die because you didn't need the trouble." I laughed through tears. I didn't remember starting to cry. That was very romantic of me. It was the most romantic thing anyone's ever done for me. He kissed my forehead, my cheeks, my lips again. "Are you really sure about this?" "I'm terrified. But I'm sure, good. Because I'm not letting you go now." He looked at my pack bags. "Is that everything?" "Everything that matters." "What about the homestead?" I looked back at the cabin. My father's cabin. The life I'd known. "I'll sell it to someone who'll love it the way my father did. Someone who needs a fresh start. But it's not my home anymore." "Then where's home?" I looked at him. At the man who'd crashed into my life and changed everything. "With you. Wherever that is." He lifted me onto smoke, then swung up behind me. His arms came around me, solid and warm and safe. "Ready?" he asked. "Ready." We rode away from the homestead together. I didn't look back. I squeezed Cole's hand. Terrible coffee and all. "And do you, Cole Brennan, take this woman to be your wife? Even though she's stubborn as hell and saved your life, which means you'll never win an argument?" Cole laughed. "I do.